Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Chilean-born multi-instrumentalist, composer, and arranger Benjamín Schnake. He opened up about his latest 2021 CD with his ensemble called The Joy of Playing. He is originally from Chile and started with classical and popular guitar lessons at the age of 10. And at the age of 13, he began to study a variety of other instruments. And he did that under a great Chilean musician known as Danny Rodríguez. His destiny was music, and it continues to be this day, and he explains it all. Enjoy.
Great, man. Thanks for taking a minute out. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure. I'm excited.
So let's talk about your latest album with your ensemble, The Joy of Playing, coming out during this very strange time on Earth with an absence of live music and the possibility of live music. Talk to me a little bit about how you feel about this coming out right now.
Yeah, it is an interesting time, for humanity for sure. As you know, during this past years during the pandemic, people have been doing a lot of virtual releases, right? And just putting out music through all the, social media and internet and, all the platforms that are going today. In my case, I'm using all that, but I'm also using CDs. So I'm kind of like sort of a hybrid, still, reaching out people by, CDs. And as you know, I'm sure for the jazz audience, I think a lot of people buy CDs. Still there, right? It's just more on the new generation that they're only using the platforms, right? Yeah, I think it has been great, getting the right response through internet, people checking it out. I'm planning on obviously playing with the band, but that's going to be coming up next year.
So what do you hope the listener gets from this experience, from this new CD?
I'm hoping that they'll have a new experience with jazz. And not just jazz listeners. I would say that the kind of music that I'm doing here, it's a quite new fusion, I would say. I'm not saying that I'm the first artist doing this kind of thing, about doing a certain Latin jazz type of music, right? But in this case, there's definitely like a very particular influence of South American style, more rhythms coming from, old traditions from Chile, in my case, since I'm Chilean, right? But also from Peru, from Argentina. And I don't think that has been done enough. There's a couple of examples, great examples, like Pedro Giraudo. He's a great composer based here in New York City too. Or Juan Andrés Ospina. He's from Colombia. But it's still pretty fairly new, a novel, and I think that's quite beautiful to be able to contribute, with a kind of a new approach, a new kind of fusion into jazz, and hopefully also to all kinds of.
So during this time of lockdown and quarantine, the whole COVID period, we all had a chance to really be with ourselves more and to learn about things about ourselves. What did you learn about yourself that maybe you didn't realize before that's going to make you stronger as you reemerge with a new album and play live music?
That's a great question. Yeah. I think that most of us musicians, we're playing live, and showing our music, our art in scenarios and whatnot. But most of the time we're still, just in our little room, doing our music, writing, composing, just getting our craft better and better, right? And I think the pandemic was a great opportunity to just do more of that, right? Obviously, everybody was missing, the gigs, right? And having, and not just playing. Live is it's also about the social connection, like you have a connection with the audience, you have a connection with people that want to listen to you, you're communicating, you're sharing that with the audience and with your close friends too and whatnot. But I think the pandemic really taught me that we can still do it from our, little room. We can still be creative. We can still engage even with the audience. And this is pretty new to me too. I guess I'm a millennial, but still, it's like I'm not like the newest generation, which, they're almost like, born, or with this, you know what I mean? And they do all this great marketing through social media. I'm trying to do it. I've started to do it more often, but I still like the old school way. So, but I guess that's what I've learned, being able to still do my craft from my place and just write more music, just practice more, and getting ready for, being out there in the world again. So.
So you've already mentioned established you're Chilean. You were born in Santiago. You started playing the guitar early on at 10 and got lessons at 13. Talk to me a little bit about how you kind of gravitated towards being a musician and what jazz influences you've had.
As you said, I started, when I was 10 years old, started to play guitar. I come from sort of a musical family, although nobody's professional, but they all have, a good ear. They all can play an instrument. They all sing, right? One of my brothers, Pablo, he would play, conservatory piano since he was 7 years old. So I was surrounded by music all the time, right? In my family. Then I took it very seriously. And I would say that by the time I was 13, I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I mean, there's nothing better for me, really. There's nothing that really gives me more excitement and purpose in life, really. I just loved it. And I kept doing it nonstop. And what happened is that when I was at college back there in Santiago, I started to listen to a lot of different music that I wasn't exposed to before, right? And one of them was jazz, right? And I had a couple of great, good lessons with Ramiro Molina. He's a teacher, musician, too, composer, and he taught me a lot of jazz, a lot of arrangement. We studied obviously the classics, like Duke Ellington and whatnot, but also some of the modern stuff, and that's where I really got in love with Gil Evans, right? Other composers too, like Maria Schneider. I just got so inspired, and I kind of saw that, well, there could be a nice crossover, just crossover with, all this jazz, beautiful arrangement, harmony going on, something more avant-garde, but still approachable. That's kind of what I liked about it, right? And then I just started imagining, well, what if I just, put all the stuff that I learned from when I was a kid and that I'm still doing, right, which is folk music, which is completely different, but still trying to do a nice blend. And I know I'm not the only one. I mean, I know that people in Chile are doing that too. People here as well, And no, I don't know. It just has been pretty much just talking from my internal voice, and just doing whatever that comes out. You know what I mean? I feel as a composer, I don't try to block myself, in styles or genres. I feel like a true composer should just do anything that just comes from his heart or her heart, and then you'll know what that is, whether it is jazz, whether it is that, or classical or anything, it'll just be your true voice coming out, and that could be a blend of things.
What is it that you like the best about being a professional musician?
I guess what I love about it is that I'm always going to the next project, right? And while I'm working on something, I know that I'm working on other projects as well. I'm finishing something, and I'm already thinking on the next project, or writing new music for the next one. But for example, we got this album now released, and it has been quite a journey. It was about 4 years since I started to write the music, and then now finalize it with the release. But I'm already having music for a second album, right, which is great. Feel passionate about it. It's going to be similar, but probably a little bit different, right? Maybe some other folk traditions happening there. Just working with different people. I think I really like that. I love my own project and working on ensemble, right, that I'm creating for this first release. But I also like just going to the next project. It's always exciting. It's always something new, something fresh.
What was the best live jazz show you saw early on that really inspired you, made you want to think that that's something you want to do with your life?
I've had the chance to watch a couple of great shows here in the city. I remember watching a couple of Maria Schneider shows at the Jazz Standard. Those has been really mind blowing. I guess I was just really excited, to see like one of my heroes playing live with that old incredible band, right? So many great musicians in there and such beautiful writing. I mean, that's definitely like a game changer, just having the opportunity to see her live. But also other players, I've seen Ari Honig at 55 Bars, amazing drummer. Adam Rogers at the same place, amazing guitar player. I mean, it's hard to say just one show, I guess. There's so many great musicians and things happening here.
If you could get into a time machine and go back in time and see a jazz musician at any time in history, who would you want to go back and see?
It's really hard to say just one. Maybe Ella Fitzgerald. I always get so inspired when I listen to her voice. I think obviously one of the most famous singers of jazz, right? But there's just something about her voice, the way that she sings, that really just, transports me into just like this different place. She was so delicate. She was so elegant. She was so real, and very honest. You can hear that in the way that she was singing, in the way she was performing on stage. So, yeah, that would be mind-blowing.
Everyone has an idea of who they think you are, your family, your friends, your fans, but ultimately you live your life. You have a perception of yourself. Who do you think you are?
No, that's a good question. Yeah. I think I'm just a musician, and I'm just trying to figure out the pieces of my own life as I just go. And it's so funny, like I've been exposed to just different musical scenarios and genres and styles, like I started with a little bit of classical when I was a kid, then went to folk, I did some rock, now I'm doing rock again with another band, which is called Non-Residents, right? We just released a new album. I'm also doing jazz with my own ensemble. I keep doing folk, so it's like, I don't know, I feel like sometimes it's hard for me to pinpoint myself and saying, well, I'm that kind of musician. It's funny. I just feel like I could have different characters as a musician, and I like that. And I think that as long as I'm trying to be true with myself, as a musician, as a performer, playing the guitar, playing the mandolin, playing the charango, play whatever I play, and as long as I'm trying to be truthful to myself and to my own voice as a composer, everything else will just follow,
Yeah, absolutely, man. Benjamin, thank you for taking a minute out to Neon Jazz. Good luck with the album and the return to the stage, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. If you want to check it out, just go to Spotify or any platform, right? There's also CD sales on Bandcamp. And you can also visit my website. It's still on development, but that's benjaminshnake.com. And yeah, looking forward to play with the band soon on next year. And thank you so much, Joe, for the opportunity, really.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players in New York City, Chile, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to Benjamin for his time, music, and story. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit Neon Jazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.